Okay, so I want to talk to you about your ideas for the environmental sculpture project. So let's go to this. Okay, all right. So this was just put together randomly. I honestly don't even like. I looked at so many that I can't remember whose is whose, and it really has nothing to do with other than if I could copy it easily and put it in here. But I wanted to look at some different ideas and talk to you guys about materials and so you could see things that people were doing. So here's someone who was interested in Chihuly, and they came up with this design, and it's going to be like a smaller scale because they want to put it on the porch, right? So it's flower vase kind of a flower pot size. But I like the fact that they're using like other materials, yarn, putting plants into it, using cardboard tubes, stuff like that. Like so those that's a really good way to think because I know that this can be intimidating as far as material wise. Now, here's someone that was interested in Andy Goldsworthy, and they were looking. This is a top view of this, and they were talking about the color. And here's your materials: rocks, paints, paintbrushes, glue. And I love that concept. I love that whole idea. The only issue I have with that, not that it's an issue, is can you collect all of those rocks that you want to do to create that in the size that you want to make it? It doesn't have to be big, right? Just because the things that you looked at were huge doesn't mean that yours has to be enormous. So, in this respect, maybe this person can't collect all of these stones and paint them. You could use like you could cut like colored paper that was the size that you want, and you could use that. You could cut like if you wanted them to look like dome kind of shape like rocks, maybe you take the bottoms off of soda bottles for some of them or something like that, and you paint that. So that's really what I wanted to touch base with you on. Here's one that was Chihuly. Now this person is going to cut plastic soda bottles. Really interesting way of thinking about that. So if you think, and she drew this really amazing, right? So something like this could hang from a tree or something, more like it says it's a wind spiral sculpture, so it's meant to move, which is really kind of interesting. And I love the concept of using the plastic water bottles because it's something that we all have, we all have that or soda bottles or something like that. And you don't have to really go looking for something else. This one I found interesting because this person found this location in their yard where these trees are really close together, and they want to do this stacking kind of a thing between those trees. So they actually found a specific site that they can do what they want to do, and she's going to just stack up sticks and things like that. I think they're all really kind of cool ideas. This person had this archway, and the flowers are like on a string. Now, issue with that, where are you going to get all these flowers this time of year? You can't just go buy them, nor do you need to. So I suggested that this person string popcorn. Can you like popcorn's light? It'll still blow in the wind. You know, uh, you can string it easily by a sewing needle and thread. I think that would be the perfect way to do something like that. Um, I can't. If you guys want to chime in and talk, you got to talk though, because I can't see you. Here's another one. This is plastic bottles. I'm not exactly sure. They're trying to use the plastic bottles because they said that it'll give you the impression of glass. Not exactly sure how this. Oh, maybe that's the bottom of the bottle. I bet that is. Um, but really innovative ways of thinking. Colored with a Sharpie, absolutely. Glue gun together. This one's really kind of interesting, this drawing. I'm assuming that that is laying on the ground because you couldn't really make that stand up. You're not going to really be able to hot glue rocks together. It's not really going to work. So if you're thinking of doing anything like this, where you're going to do like an arrangement, think about doing it flat on the ground because I'm not sure that you're really going to be able to glue that together and have that stand. Here's another type of an arrangement on the ground. These are kind of interesting. You just photograph it from the top. This is another type of arrangement, collecting outdoor materials and just making this kind of an arrangement. I think these are great ideas. Um, Now she's talking about laying it in a trail. Do you have that trail nearby if you want to do that? So you might have to do it wherever you have. All right. So I thought these drawings were really interesting. This to me looks like TP tubes in here, but I love how that's like kind of stacked up and then it has another piece around there. Um, so really, really interesting designs. I hope this is like helping a little bit. Here's another one. She's going to incorporate string and yarn and cardboard. So none of this is man-made. Like she's going to create some kind of an archway that has that interwoven kind of a feel like Nils Udo's outdoor archways. This doesn't have to be big. It could be like a tabletop size. Here's another really cool drawing. This looks like it would hang from a tree as well. Really, really interesting. This one's done with more, but addition of construction paper, ribbon, whatever you need to make it work is what I really wanted to stress today. Okay, I'm going to come back for a second. All right, so hey, bros. All right. So how do you have any comments on those? What do you think about those? For some of them might be yours. I don't even know because I literally just kind of went through. They're from all different classes. Any feedback for me on that? Hard to make. I don't know if they're going to be hard to make. You know, Thinking about making it hard to make is, I think that a lot of that has to do with the size of it. If you go really, really large, yeah, you might be entering something, Nate, that's going to be a difficult build. If you stay, I mean, that archway thing, that you could build that laying on its side and then stand it up when it's done. These arrangements, you're just kind of putting them together on the ground. So I think that that really has to do with size. And you know what? A lot of people are taking like stones and arranging them and things. I have like this little like tray that somebody gave me with candles in it that has all these like little rocks in it. You could use something like that. The bottom of a planter, like sometimes you have those like stones and things in it. You could use that. It doesn't have to be permanent either. You could make this arrangement just for the purpose of what you're doing. Does that help a little bit? And you're very inventive. You were making a tough piece there, so I'm sure that you'll come up with it. All right, I'm going to go to another screen for a sec. Okay, all right. So now these are two sculptures that I built yesterday outside. Okay. So I wanted to give you some idea of like, where you can go with this and actually have it happen. So I didn't use materials that were natural. I was bringing my own materials into the environment. So I had this idea from when we started. So I've been saving soda bottles. They're like liter bottles, and I filled them with water and I put food coloring in them. So I have six of them, and I had two and two of all the different colors. Okay. So that's just colored water inside. And I put the lid on so it would stay in there. And then I took them outside yesterday morning and I dug a little hole into my mulch area and I just inserted them upside down. And actually, if you noticed, oh wait, hold on. Let me just go back real quick. Shoot. If you notice, they're not the same bottle. So I was a little concerned about that. And actually, when I was filling them, I didn't really take that into consideration and stuff. So when I was doing it, I was like, oh, I'm not going to like this. But when you turn them upside down, they look almost the same. And what I love about this is I photographed it when it was very, very bright sun. And you can see how the light's coming through the plastic and showing you the color. So you're getting these really long reflections. That happened, I mean, shadows. That's because of the time of day. You know, uh, Early day, late day sun is always going to give you a longer shadow, just FYI, in case you want something like that. But what's really cool is how the light comes through and you're getting the color on the ground. So, and if looking at the bottom of these bottles, if you had like water bottles or something like that and you wanted this kind of shape, you could cut that off and use that. So here's a couple of views of mine. Now in the summer, there will be a ton of plants in here. Okay, they get very, very tall. So this is probably, somewhat temporary. I actually have another bottle. I'm going to continue with this. I'm going to continue to add to this because I like it. And until it starts to really grow and they get covered over, I'm going to leave it. And it also could possibly fade from the sun. All right, so I did a second one for you guys, which is right here. I used some cardboard that I've been saving from boxes that we finished things. And I was going to paint them different colors. And then I started looking at them. I have a blue one, I have a red one, I have a yellow one. So uh, I just decided to go with the color that was on the boxes. So you can see this is Diet Coke. I kind of switched it. Um, the blue one and the yellow. So this was Cheerios. So these are the longest, and I did that just because that was the biggest box. And I was thinking about Dale Chihuly, and I didn't even draw this. I just kind of like cut shapes from the bottom of the box. I just cut up, and I knew I wanted them to be curved and things like that. So I just cut it up. And then I went onto the grass and I just laid them down. So from here to that point is about the size of a Cheerios box, okay? So so I just started arranging them by color coming out from the center. I had to rearrange them a little bit. Things didn't really work when I put them down. And then I didn't really like this hole in the center here. So I actually, in the next slide, I cut up some more yellow and kind of covered that up. But you see these purple flowers? They're in my grass right now. And I wanted to photograph them in this spot specifically because of them, because they're not all over the yard. So they're just laying right on the grass. This is completely temporary. Nothing is glued together here. Here's a close up. So I kind of covered that up because it was bothering me. And here's your final piece. So yesterday it was getting windy, so I literally took this away because I didn't want the pieces to fly all over the neighborhood. So it doesn't exist anymore. The first one does, but this one does not. So so uh so I took it down. So okay, let me get out of that. All right, I'm going to stop this the so, all right. So does anybody have any questions for me about this? How do you feel about the things that I just showed you? I'm going to come out of the screen share and I'm going to stop the recording and we can just talk a little bit.